Hello everyone, good evening to you all. Today is our first webinar on the topic of interlinking provision of CPC, HMA and Family Courts Act 1984. This webinar is conducted by the Law Communicants with association with Supreme Law Academy and our guest speaker Shri Anuj Gupta Advocate. First, I would like to tell you all about what is the Law Communicants. The Law Communicants is a legal tech platform which promotes events and creates a bridge between legal students, legal scholars, and many other people who are related to the field of law. On the other hand, SLA is a Supreme Law Academy which was conceptualized on September 2019 with the motive of teaching the law to the law students subject wise and creating a much more big and clear ambit of understanding. This webinar is specially for you to understand how Hindu Marriage Act is connected to Family Courts Act and the CPC. Today, our guest speaker, Mr. Anuj Gupta Advocate, who is a first generation lawyer having a standing of 20 years in Delhi High Court, Supreme Court, as well as all the district courts of Delhi, who has appeared before many tribunals and creating a very good command on his drafting skills and especially creating a very good command on the appeal. Now I would request sir to start the webinar and may take over the screen.
Thank you, Akash. Thank you, Law Communicants, for giving me this opportunity. I welcome everyone to this webinar and I wish you everyone a very good success, especially the Law Communicants for giving me this opportunity. As far as the today's topic is concerned, the Family Courts Act and the interlinking provisions thereof with CPC. So if we see Family Courts Act, when was Family Courts Act commenced? It came up in existence way back in 1984. But even as of date, as you are aware of, there are not so many of family courts established till in all the districts of India. They are evolving. They are being They are being special buildings constructed for family courts. The purpose being that family courts should be having an atmosphere different from that of regular courts, so that there is no so that the family people, the families, they can be united together. The concept, we are a secular country. In this country we have to take care of the laws, the personal laws especially. Now in a family is something different from commercial courts. The family courts are altogether different. What was the situation prior to commencement of Family Courts Act? Was there any provision in the family courts for the family was there any provision in CPC for family courts to proceed in a particular manner? The answer to that is yes. About 80 years prior to 1984, that is way back in 1976, there was an amendment introduced to CPC. That amendment introduced provisions of Order 32A in CPC. Now this 32A at that point of time was taking care of what sort of procedure a family court has to adopt. At that point of time, again I'll repeat that there was no family court. So who was taking care of was the courts itself, the regular courts, the courts of ADJs. They were taking care of the matrimonial disputes. All sorts of divorce petition, they were being handled by the regular courts. Now there had to be some procedure laid down in CPC itself. So Order 32A was introduced, and that Order 32A introduced 6 rules. Rule number 1, rule 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this rule 6 brought up what? It brought up the definition of family. The definition of family was provided by Rule 6, and this definition provides 6 clauses. In fact, 5 clauses, A to E, and clause A introduces 3 further sub clauses. So if we see Family Courts Act, whether Family Courts Act provides definition of family, we will be surprised that Family Courts Act does not provide any definition of term family in it. So for purpose of taking the meaning of family, we have to take help of order 32A rule 6 to understand what is the meaning of the term family. Now rule 6 provides that a man, what is family is, each of the following shall be treated as constituting a family. I'll be reading rule 6 for you. It says, clause A, first, a man and his wife living together. So a man and his wife, so wife definitely means a legally wedded wife. So man and woman living together is not something which is provided by CPC. It is a man and a wife, that means a legally wedded wife. Any child or children being issues of theirs, or such man or such wife. Third, any child or children being maintained by such man and wife. So it takes care of the children that is being maintained also, not meaning thereby that it is not that the child has to be born out of the wedlock of this man and wife. The children who are being maintained, they also come within the definition of family. Then clause B says, a man not having a wife or not living together with his wife, any child or children being issues of his, and any child or children being maintained by him. So a person who is not living with his wife, together with his wife, or whose wife has left but he is living with his children or child, or a child may be born out of the wedlock, or child who may be maintained by such person. So this is a complete family. Clause C is exactly similar, where it is dealing with the female, a woman not having a husband may have expired, or not living together with her husband, or any together with the husband, any child or children being issues of hers, and any child or children being maintained by her. Then D says, a man or woman and his or her brother, sister, ancestor, or lineal descendant living with him or her. So this is giving further wide it is giving a further wide prospect that brother, sister, lineal descendant and ancestors, they are also being covered by in the definition of family. So man's father, mother, children, or any other lineal descendant means grandchildren also. And it further takes care of to say any combination of one or more of the groups specified in clauses A, clause B, clause C, or clause D of this rule. So rule 6, clause A, B, C, D, any combination of these rules will also be a family. So this is where the family is defined under order 32A rule 6, and it is not defined under under Family Courts Act. But the lawmakers did not forget to mention immediately after this that rule 6, the provisions of rule 6 shall be without prejudice to the concept of family in any personal law, because India has so many religions, so many personal laws are also involved, so that this rule is not having a overriding effect over the personal laws. The personal laws still have their overriding effect to arrive at the definition of, to arrive at the meaning of the term family. So this is something which is very important, because family courts is now they are it's having a wide future, for litigations are increasing day by day. That is why family courts have been established across the nation. Now what are the duties of the family courts, and whether those duties, those jurisdictions, whether the jurisdictions of the family court, whether they are provided by somewhere in CPC? The answer again is yes. You have to again take yourself only to one order, that is order 32A. Order 32A, as the slide being shown behind me, it is clearly showing you Order 32A Rule 1. So it talks of application of order, and if we see the connecting provision there too is provided by Section 7 of Family Courts Act, which provides for jurisdiction. Now if you try to compare these two, Order 32A Rule 1 and Section 7 of Family Courts Act, so CPC and Family Courts Act, you will find they are identically worded. They are having the identical. One is application of order, to whom it applies, and Section 7 talks of jurisdiction of the family courts. So if you see the clause A of Order 32A Rule 1 Sub Rule 2, it reads as it is deals with a suit or proceeding for matrimonial relief, including a suit for or proceeding for declaration as to validity of any marriage or to the matrimonial status of a person. Exactly same wordings are provided by Section 7 Clause B. If you just have a look at it, you will find that it is exactly the same wordings. I am carrying the Bayer Act with me right now. You may look into it if you are carrying, or you may later on look into it. So Section 7 Clause B, it reads, the explanation part, it reads, a suit or proceeding for declaration as to the validity of a marriage or as to the matrimonial status of any person. So this is exactly the identical wording. Similarly, if you see Clause B of Order 32A Rule 1 CPC, so that is identically worded with Clause E of Section 7, which reads, the both I am reading both, we can read simultaneously. It reads as it will apply to a suit or proceeding for a declaration as to the legitimacy of any person. Similarly, Clause C, the jurisdiction under Family Courts Act, Clause C of the Order 32A, you will find exactly same worded in Clause G of Section 7 of Family Courts Act, which reads, a suit or proceeding in relation to the guardianship of a person or the custody of any minor or any other member of the family under a disability. The Clause D of Section Order 32A Rule 1 of CPC is identically worded with Clause G of Section 7 which of Family Courts Act, which reads, a suit or proceeding for maintenance. And Clause G of Order 32A Rule 1 CPC, it reads as a suit or proceeding related to any other matter concerning the family in respect of which the parties are subject to their personal laws. This is provided by Clause C of Section 7 of the Family Courts Act. So now the word turning out repeatedly in these is relating to any matter concerning the family. So concerning the family, for family we have to seek help from Order 32A Rule 6, because family is not defined by Family Courts Act. So this is what it is, the very first introduction of the interlinking. First I dealt with the where the family is defined, then I have given you the very first introduction interlinking, that is the applicability and the jurisdiction. Applicability under Order 32A of CPC and jurisdiction under Section 7 of the Family Courts Act. Now if we move on further, if we see further, Order 32A Rule 2 of CPC provides that proceedings are to be held in camera. It reads that in every suit or proceedings to which this order applies, the heading of the order reads as suits relating to the matter concerning the families. So if something is provided under Order 32A concerning the families, then it should be taken care of in the Family Courts Act as well. Now it reads as, in every suit or proceeding to which this order applies, the proceedings may be held in camera if the court so desires, and shall be so held if either party so desires. Now this This was dealt by Honorable Supreme Court of India also in one of the cases in 2017. Right now, I am not carrying the that citation with me. It was in September 2017. I'll give it in the comment box after the session. So it reads as, now what is the, it may be held in camera if the court so desires, and shall be held if the either party so desires, and it has been identically provided by section 11 of the Family Courts Act, which reads as, in every suit or proceedings to which this act applies. वहाँ पर order था, यहाँ पर act हो गया. Act applies, the proceedings may be held in camera if the family court so desires, and shall be so held if the party, if either party so desires. So you'll see this is exactly identically worded, except that the word order has been replaced with the word act, and the word court has been replaced with the word family court. So these are this is the second rule of order 32A, which is provided by, identically provided by section 11 of the Family Courts Act. Now if we see the rule 3, what is rule 3 of order 32A CPC? It reads as, duty of the court to make efforts for settlement. Now duty of a duty has been casted upon the court by CPC itself to make efforts for settlement. The practical lawyers, the practicing lawyers have generally seen the court insist the parties to arrive at a settlement. The purpose is that the legislative intent was that the families should not be broken down so easily. That is why we say that it is easier to take a divorce, to get a marriage dissolved in foreign as compared to India, because in India the ideology is that a family should not be permitted to be broken easily unless there are exceptional circumstances. So this duty casted by order 32A rule 3 on the court is provided by section 9 of the Family Courts Act, which reads as, duty of the family courts to make efforts for settlement. So there, the family courts, I have used this provision number of times in the courts where we feel that as being on the respondent side, that there is a petition by one spouse and the other spouse does not want that there may be that it may be filing a counter or a response there too, because once the allegations are there and their written statement is filed, there are counter allegations, then the gap between the parties is going to widen up. So instead of widening up the gap, but at the same time there's a stick of time, so the time clock is running, that if you do not file the written statement within a stipulated period, then your right to file the written statement will be taken away, so it may be closed. Then in those circumstances, application can be filed under section 9 of the Family Courts Act, read with order 32A rule 3 CPC. So what it says, that it will be the duty of the court to make efforts for settlement, and what it reads is that in every suit, now if you will see, if you keep both the books together, then you will find they are again identically worded. What is written in order 32A rule 3 is identically mentioned in section 9 of the Family Courts Act, that in every suit or proceeding to which this order applies, वहाँ पर हो जाएगा in which the act applies, endeavor shall be made by the family court, endeavor shall be made by the court in the first instance where it is possible to do so, consistent with the nature and circumstances of the case, to assist the parties in arriving at a settlement in respect of the subject matter of the suit. So this is again I am showing how they are identically worded and how they are interlinked with each other. And the sub rule 2 of rule 3 is identically worded with subsection 2 of section 9, which reads as, if in any such suit or proceeding at any stage So it is giving wide powers to the court, and it is in fact casting a duty, because the heading of the section, heading of the rule, it was saying duty of the court. So it says, at any stage it appears to the court that there is a reasonable possibility of a settlement between the parties, the court may adjourn the proceeding for such period as it thinks fit to enable attempts to be made to effect such a settlement. Now, what is the effect of this? Sub rule 2 of rule 3 order 32A CPC, or sub rule 2 or subsection 2 of section 9 of Family Courts Act, is that if the proceedings are adjourned, then the time clock it automatically stops, because the proceedings are adjourned for to enable the parties to make attempt to arrive at a settlement. So this is where you can seek an adjournment by moving an application under section, either party can move under section 9(2) of Family Courts Act, read with order 32A rule 3 sub rule 2 of CPC, so that the parties can arrive at a settlement. And of course the parties can be referred to a matrimonial counselor, or the parties can be referred to even the family member whomsoever the party is concerned, consider that he is a good fellow, to enable them to arrive at a settlement. Now, if you go to sub rule 3, the power conferred by sub rule 2 shall be in addition to and not in derogation of any other power of the court to adjourn the proceedings. So this is again giving up more clarity that this is not in derogation, it is an additional power. So this power is granted in addition to the other powers the court has to adjourn the proceedings. So after rule 3 of order 32A comes order 32A rule 4. This is assistance of welfare experts. Now if you will see the slide behind you, behind me in fact, the rule 4 is identically, is it getting strength, it is consistent with section 12 of the Family Courts Act. And this section 12 of the Family Courts Act we have to read along with section 5 of the Family Courts Act, because the family section 12 provides something different, and section 5 is assisting section 12 of the Family Courts Act. I'll take you to that. Before that, let us come to rule 4 of order 32A CPC. What it reads is, in every suit or proceeding to which this order applies, it shall be open to the court to secure the services of such person. Now, to secure the services of such person, which person? Preferably a woman where available, whether related to the parties or not. So अब अभी आपको मैंने बताया था कि फैमिली के अंदर से भी किसी आदमी को लिया जा सकता है जिसको पार्टीज कंसीडर करती हूँ एज ए गुड पर्सन. पार्टीज रिलेटेड हैं, ऑफ कोर्स फैमिली है तो रिलेटेड हैं, तो जब रिलेटेड होती हैं तो दे हैव सम पर्सन इन दी फैमिलीज जो एक एल्डरली पर्सन हो जिसकी वो मानते हों बात, उसको लिया जा सकता है. तो यहाँ पर रूल 4 ने बड़ा क्लियरली प्रोवाइड कर दिया, इट शैल बी ओपन टू द कोर्ट to secure the services of such person whether related to the parties or not, including a person professionally engaged in promoting the welfare of the family, as the court thinks fit, for the purpose of assisting the court in discharging the functions imposed by rule 3 of this order. What was rule 3? Rule 3 was to make efforts for सेटलमेंट. तो सेटलमेंट करने के लिए वो कोर्ट किसी भी एक ऐसे व्यक्ति की सेवाएं ले सकती है. इट शैल बी ओपन टू द कोर्ट टू टेक सर्विसेज ऑफ सच पर्सन. वो व्यक्ति पार्टीज से रिलेटेड हो या ना हो, या फिर प्रोफेशनली इस तरह की एक्टिविटी में हो जो प्रमोट करता हो वेलफेयर ऑफ द फैमिलीज, ताकि एक सेटलमेंट पार्टीज के बीच में कराया जा सके. So this is what is provided by rule 4 of order 32A of CPC. Now I told you that we have to take the interlinking provision is in section 12 of the Family Courts Act. Let us see what does section 12 reads. Section 12 reads assistance of medical and welfare experts. तो यहाँ पर एक मेडिकल एक्सपर्ट्स भी ऐड हो गया. मेडिकल वर्ड को अगर हम एक बार को छोड़ देते हैं तो आता है असिस्टेंस ऑफ वेलफेयर एक्सपर्ट्स. एग्जैक्टली आइडेंटिकल हो गया. इन एवरी सूट ऑफ प्रोसीडिंग इट शैल बी ओपन टू ए फैमिली कोर्ट. नाउ दिस इज what is provided by section 12. It shall be open to a family court to secure the services of a medical expert or such person, preferably a woman where available, whether related to the parties or not, including a person professionally engaged in promoting the welfare of the family, as the court may think fit, for the purposes of assisting the family court in discharging the functions imposed by this act. वहाँ था provided by order 3 by rule 3 of this order, that means order 32A. CPC में ये था, यहाँ पर by this act कर दिया. Of course 8 साल बाद आया तो it had to be carrying out some improvements in it. So it provided, but आप ध्यान दीजिएगा कि family courts and एक्ट आने के बाद ऐसा नहीं है कि ऑर्डर 32A को CPC से हटा दिया गया, बिकॉज इट इज़ लेइंग डाउन प्रोसीजर. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि फैमिली कोर्ट्स एक्ट के प्रोविजन, ये ऑर्डर 32A के प्रोविजंस फैमिली कोर्ट्स एक्ट में कवर अप हो गए तो ऑर्डर 32A को हटा दिया गया है. नो, दे आर कंसिस्टेंट विद ईच अदर. देयर इज़ नो case of disharmony among these two provisions of the Family Courts Act and CPC. So it is continuing. So whenever an application is to moved or whenever a power is to be exercised by the court can exercise the power under section 12 of Family Courts Act read with order 32A rule 4 of CPC. Now if we see, I told you we have to also cover up section 5. अब section 5 के अंदर क्योंकि यहाँ पर एक आया प्रोफेशनली, क्या आया सेक्शन 12 के अंदर, इट में ऑल्सो इंक्लूडिंग ए पर्सन प्रोफेशनली एंगेज. नाउ प्रोफेशनली एंगेज इन प्रमोटिंग द वेलफेयर ऑफ द फैमिली. तो व्हाट डज सेक्शन 5 प्रोवाइड? सेक्शन 5 प्रोवाइड एसोसिएशन ऑफ सोशल वेलफेयर एजेंसीज. नाउ दीज सोशल वेलफेयर एजेंसीज ये कौन सी होंगी? इसके लिए स्टेट गवर्नमेंट को पावर दी गई. क्या? द स्टेट गवर्नमेंट में इन कंसल्टेशन विद द हाई कोर्ट प्रोवाइड बाय रूल्स फॉर द एसोसिएशन इन सच मैनर and for such purposes and subject to such conditions as may be specified in the rules with a family court of what institutions or organizations engaged in social welfare or the representatives thereof, persons professionally engaged in promoting the welfare of the family, persons working in the field of social welfare, and any other person whose association with the family court would enable it to exercise its jurisdiction more effectively in accordance with the purposes of this act. So what is the target, what is the objective is that the purposes of the act should be met out. The act has been made, it has been enacted with the intent of family welfare. So that family welfare, now it is not possible for a court, a judicial officer sitting in the family court to himself conduct the counselings. So matrimonial counsellors are required. Now from where are you going to get a matrimonial counsellor as a judicial officer, you will think of. So for that you have to see section 5, whether the state government in association with, in consultation with the High Court, has appointed any social welfare officer, has appointed any organization, has appointed any institution or any other person to assist the family court for the purposes of family welfare. So this is where we have to see section how rule 4 of order 32A is getting connected with section 12 and section 5 of the Family Courts Act. Now coming to the last provision, that is rule 5 of order 32A CPC. It says duty to inquire into the facts. So now this was in 1976, but what it read? It read, in every suit or proceeding to which this order applies, it shall be the duty of the court to inquire so far as it reasonably can into the facts alleged by the plaintiff and into the facts alleged by the defendant. So the facts which were alleged by the plaintiff and the facts which were alleged by the defendant, now they are definitely going to be difference in those. That is why issues are framed. Now how to arrive at, how to make possible, because these are not commercial transactions. Had these been commercial transactions, then there would have been number of ways to find out whether the GST return has been filed or not, whether GST return reflects whether there was a gate pass where of taking away the goods or not. Now these are something which are issues, which are allegations in the family, among the in the four walls. So now these four walls, how do we have to cover up them? So the court, so it will be the duty of the court, it says, and so far as it reasonably can. So how will it inquire? But the duty has been casted upon the court. Now if we see the connecting provision, that is section 10(3), section 10(3) of the Family Court Act. So this was a little grey area, but that grey area has been covered up by section 10 subsection 3 of the Family Courts Act, which provides that nothing in this subsection 1 or subsection 2. Now what was subsection 1 or subsection 2? Subsection 1 said that the provisions of CPC shall apply. Subsection 2 said, subsection 2 of section 10 of Family Courts Act said that the provisions of CRPC shall apply. CRPC of course is with respect to section 125, petitions filed under section 125 of CRPC for the maintenance of the wife, children and the parents. So it provided that CPC will, subsection 1 said that CPC will apply to the civil proceedings, subsection 2 said that CRPC will apply, but subsection 3, it gave further wide powers to the court by saying that nothing in subsection 1 or subsection 2 shall prevent a family court from laying down its own procedure. For what? With a view to arrive at a settlement. Settlement is of course taken at the first instance, but if we remove this phrase, if we skip this phrase, we read it as to arrive at the truth of the facts alleged by the one party and denied by the other party. So CPC was saying that it shall be the duty, and the interlinking provision subsection 3 of section 10 of Family Courts Act said that the court can lay down its own procedure with a view to arrive at the truth. So this is giving further wide powers, and it took note of that it has to be that alleged by one party and denied by the other party. It is not with respect to alleged by the plaintiff and also into the facts alleged by the defendant as were provided by CPC. So it gave a further clarity that something which is at issue, which is a dispute, has to be taken into consideration by the court, and it can lay down its own procedure. So this order 32A of CPC is directly linked with the several provisions of section of Family Courts Act, as I have detailed, and I think my task for the today as assigned to me is over. Now it's switching over to Akash, in case there are any queries or questions you would like to put or the audience would like to put.
Thank you, sir. It was a really great and knowledgeable experience sitting with you here in the room and teaching or learning about family law, CPC and family courts. But there are certain questions, but since we have a shortage of time, since sir is also busy and during his practice days, so there is a small option for every one of you that this webinar has been recorded and will be uploaded on the YouTube. You may ask your questions and sir himself will reply to you on the comment sections only. And if you have liked this webinar, please support us. We will bring you more and more webinars, more knowledgeable content with sir and many more advocates. And please like, share and subscribe our YouTube channel. So thank you all for being present here.